This is the way. This is the way.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to Fatherly Fandom here. This is our first inaugural news from the fandoms. This is our live show that we're going to be doing every single week where we talk about the news, all the relevant stuff here real quick for you guys. So welcome. We are live. My name is Chris and I'm joined as always by this guy over here.
Hey, buddy. Oh,
Superman.
Yeah.
Matt.
We're talking about Clark Kent. You know, keep the aliases going.
As it were.
Yeah. How's it going, buddy?
It's going fantastic. Man, we've got lots of fun stuff to talk about to you guys tonight. So let's get right into it because we have limited time. So, man, big news of the day, DC. So let's talk about it.
A little bit of DC news came out today. Small announcement from kind of an unknown character, James Gunn. So, co-CEO of the DCU now with Peter Safran, which you know how well co-managing worked for Dunder Mifflin. Let's see how it works for the DCU. But they had quite the story to tell today. And just all honesty to this bit of news here, Chris and I had other things to talk about, but because there was so much content released today, we decided to focus a big part of our newscast specifically
I think it's wonderful that we're coming out on Tuesdays with this because it seems like there's always some sort of big news item that comes out on Tuesdays. And today did not disappoint, guys.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. So I'll get right into it. James Gunn did confirm the movies that we will still see. You know, there's been a lot of press over the past couple of months of what DCU stuff we will no longer see, like Henry Cavill as Superman, Ben Affleck as Batman, except for maybe not in the upcoming Flash movie. We'll see. But the stuff that he did... the stuff that he did confirm is sticking around is Shazam. Of course, we've seen the trailer for that. And if you haven't already, check out Chris's great review of it on fatherlyfandom.com. Or, no, not fatherlyfandom.com, just our YouTube channel or our podcast found in many different areas around the internet. So Shazam's still coming out. We're still going to be getting the Flash movie, as I mentioned, with Michael Keaton returning as Batman. James Gunn has said that, like the Flashpoint comic series, that this will essentially reset the DCU as we know it.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted. I was like, oh, man, so they're actually going with the Flashpoint paradox as their major reset. I kind of thought, like, I heard some news before too about how like they weren't going to do that, but what James Gunn said today sounds like that's the way that they're going to do this, and I think that's a good way to get us into the next bit of movies.
Yeah, that was almost a direct quote there, which is interesting because anybody that follows the Arrowverse knows that they've already done this storyline, and you know, so. He also clarified that even though we're getting sort of a reboot after the Flash movie of the DCU, that there's still going to be DC Elseworlds content, like the Batman and its sequel. Right? Teen Titans Go, the Joker getting a sequel as well. So those things will still remain intact. Now, what wasn't mentioned is some of the TV shows like Superman and Lois. What will become of that? We know that we've got another season, and I don't know if anything's happening after that. But my prediction is, especially with the loss of the actor portraying Jonathan Kent, that we might see a series wrap on that. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah. We might. They have a new actor coming in too this next season. And there's a series of cancellations going on. Doom Patrol got canceled, so it won't be coming back as well. So I'm really afraid that Superman and Lois might be on the cutting room floor for possible future seasons. That was a great show. Check it out, guys. One of my favorites.
James Gunn made it clear that their intent is to make the DCU as cohesive as possible, meaning that gaming, animation, TV shows, film, it's all going to be part of the same universe. So you may see actors in movies that appear in TV shows that also voice their characters in animated shows. This is to, again, create a cohesion to the content. He also confirmed that Blue Beetle, that movie, is still premiering, as well as Aquaman 2. Now, we know those movies are coming out after the Flashpoint or the Flash movie. So it'd be interesting if there's a reset, how we still have Aquaman around. And
that's my big question, because the word on the street is he's going to be playing Lobo in the new DC universe. So I was like, is he going to be playing both? Like, is this Aquaman going to be... He didn't say that it was going to be Elseworld for Aquaman either. So I was like, huh.
And I've got a personal prediction, because we know that James Gunn and Dave Bautista are very close. We know that Dave Bautista has been quoted as saying that he would pick up the phone and say yes to whatever James Gunn basically throws at him, including a DCU character. So maybe he would be a shoe-in for Lobo. Now, I think Jason Momoa has got the look, got the charisma for it, but, it's going to be weird since he is Aquaman.
Yeah, well, I believe that Dave Bautista wanted to play Bane, was the big role that he wanted to play.
So he just confirmed that he is not going to play Bane, but the new rumor is that he's going to be playing, that he is interested in playing anyway, Lex Luthor, which would be a formidable opponent to whatever actor comes up and plays the next Superman, which we might as well get into with the rest of the new DCU slate, which, much like Marvel, they're laying these out, these new storylines in different sections that they call chapters. This first chapter is going to be referred to as Gods and Monsters. Now, I don't know to what capacity that's going to really happen. Is it going to be on the posters, or is there going to be some way of letting the public at large knowing this is chapter 1 of the new DCU? I don't know, but
it's like they did with the phases in Marvel too. Like they say that this is the slate of movies for Phase 1. It's not really on any of the posters or anything, but
it's probably just going to be something that's in the ether out there. So first up is going to be a animated TV show called Creature Commandos. And if you're not familiar with this comic book storyline, it's basically DC. They're kind of superhero squad of universal monsters, like Bride of Frankenstein and Eric Frankenstein, and monsters like this. So it'll be interesting to see how those animated characters integrate with the rest of the DCU. After that, we do have.
That was another really fascinating thing too. Is they are going to integrate the animated series into the movies, and so we'll have live action actors playing the voices of these roles, and those things will be part of the canon, which I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Do that, kind of like we're seeing with Star Wars and things like Bad Batch, Clone Wars, and stuff. A
little bit of what if in there too. If you think about that series last year, they didn't get everybody back, but they did get some of the Marvel actors to voice their own characters on that show, which I thought was pretty cool.
True story.
But after the Creature Commandos comes out, which that's 7 episodes that James Gunn has already written himself, we're going to see not a Suicide Squad sequel, not a Suicide Squad reboot or a Peacemaker season 2. We're going to see a series called Waller, which is supposed to take place immediately after the events of season 1 of Peacemaker. So again,
Viola Davis coming back too. I was happy about that one.
Viola Davis coming back. and dealing with the ramifications of what happened at the end of the first season of Peacemaker. So I imagine that John Cena will be back to some capacity as well. But again, it begs the question, if we're doing a total redo in The Flash, how are these characters integrated in the new universe? Now,
James Amanda Waller is such a badass that she she
survives whatever time dilation, ramifications, things there are. It's something that I was wondering from the time that we were told that James Gunn was CEO here, is would he let his baby, his precious Suicide Squad go? Now he's been quoted as saying it's going to be treated like a rough memory, whatever that means. So my guess is if you have something like the blip or what we saw in Marvel, that these characters might be something that are referred to off screen but not necessarily seen, unless there's some kind of parallel universe integrated in here that we're just
other stories have done similar things too. Whenever like things have changed and timelines have changed, I think Lost did this as well, and they had like a certain memory. I think when they were doing the flash forwards and everything, they kind of had a similar thing going on with that. So interesting.
Yep. So then comes the big movie, Superman Legacy, which Peter Safran has said will kick off. It's basically the start of Chapter 1 of the DCU, and this is going to show us a younger Superman, as we heard later last year, the last couple of months of last year, where Henry Cavill was basically let go, and they said they're going to go with a younger actor because this is a younger Superman. He's going to be not necessarily going through the growing pains. An origin story will not be redone here. It's going to be Superman, as the article says, dealing with his Kryptonian legacy and how his parents, Martha and Jonathan, raised him. So it sounds interesting. I have just a hunch with that Legacy title that maybe they will let Henry Cavill make a cameo appearance as an older Superman. We've seen that in the comics before. So maybe he'd be thinking back on his life or something along those lines whenever he's sort of a college age Superman. I don't know.
Maybe, and that might actually mend the fence for a lot of people, because a lot of people were really angry about the fact that Henry Cavill's isn't coming back, and they're letting Ezra Miller stay on as the Flash. It's just like, really? That's who you're gonna keep, and you're not gonna keep this guy who's basically a perfect Superman?
Yeah, and when they said that they were doing a younger version of Superman, it's like, well, you can't go too young, because it's in the comic continuity that he doesn't, become Superman until he's in his 30s. So, like, what? How young is this guy going to be? Like, Henry Cavill doesn't look like he's that much older than somebody in their 30s. So,
he's not old. He's not old and rickety yet, guys. But for me, and if you guys want to, I have a video on like things that they could change for the next Superman. And one of the things I bring up is the fact that like we haven't really explored that time frame too, of like right after college, having a young Clark Kent travel the world. There was a really cool comic series about that for Superman, and I absolutely loved it. So that's a nice little direction they can go in. But I'm not sure who they would pick to play,
Tom Welling.
Superman. He's got a little gray in his hair now, I don't know. Yeah.
So you think he really has gray in his hair, or was that just done for the Infinite Earths? Okay.
Have you seen pictures of him just around? Yeah, he's
graying up a little
he's
bit.
Around, Henry Cavill's age too. So it's like, if you would pick Tom,
either one of them,
why the hell wouldn't you just stick with Henry Cavill?
So
I'm director.
I'm really hoping that they surprise us, and that James Gunn's talk with Henry was saying, "Hey, we're going to use you as a secret cameo. Don't tell everybody. Act really sad all over the internet." We'll see though.
Yeah.
After the Superman movie comes out, which James Gunn is penning himself, he says about halfway through, we're going to get an HBO Max series called Lanterns, which covers Green Lanterns patrolling Earth, basically, as their beat. It's going to be presented as a true detective type of storyline, probably a little dark and gritty, with the Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart represented. And James Gunn said there'd probably be others cameoing throughout the series as well. So
yeah, and this is a project that's been in the works for a while, so it's really cool that they're keeping this on too. Because we've been hearing about the Green Lantern show for a long time on HBO Max, so I'm really glad that it's continuing on. I'm glad that we're getting Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, both of them in this show. So it's definitely one I'm interested in watching too.
Yeah, me as well, and it'll be interesting to see as we go through this slate how they are introducing these characters to a new generation, a younger generation that might not be familiar with the comic continuity, but is saturated with comic book lore just out there in the ether between movies and MCU and all sorts of projects on TV and Disney Plus and everywhere. Superheroes are all over the place. So how are they going to make these darker storylines unique and accessible to a younger audience? We'll see how it goes. After Lanterns comes out, a huge passion project for James Gunn is The Authority, big budget movie centered around a group of superheroes that takes their job very seriously, sees the world as broken, and that they are the ones to fix it. It sounds to me a lot like what we have seen in the past between both Suicide Squad movies, so to speak, and not that they're necessarily superheroes, but they become superheroes and are willing to kind of go outside of the normal barriers that Batman and Superman and the mainstream superheroes have put upon themselves because of their moral continuity. It sounds like these guys very much operate outside of that. And I think, again, we've seen stories like that many times before now. With Doom Patrol, like you said, you just canceled it. And The Authority kind of sounds something similar. Now, it's going to be big budget, so we'll see how it pans out. But James Gunn is very excited about the release.
Yeah, that's right up James Gunn's alley too. That's his wheelhouse right there. Anti-heroes, misfits.
Right.
So yeah, definitely.
Yep. After that, we've got the reintroduction of something like Wonder Woman, a show called Paradise Lost. This takes place, of course, on Paradise Island. And as you can see from the article, and Peter Safran and James Gunn have both been quoted as saying this is going to be a Game of Thrones-like series taking place millennia before Diana is even born.
Yeah,
and
I like this.
Yeah, I read a rumor in a separate article that this storyline could center around what's almost like a civil war on Themyscira there. So it'll be interesting to see. There's been talk of possibly the Egyptian Amazonian tribes being introduced into this series, as well as the the faction against the main Amazonians on Paradise Island. So yeah, we'll see how it pans out. But that's going to be another show on HBO Max. So I imagine there'll be several seasons of it as well. And since it takes place well before any of the other movies or TV shows that we've mentioned, they've kind of done a nice thing for themselves and not necessarily had to worry about continuity errors, which,
good on them. I wonder if any of the Greek gods are going to show up. Ares may be a main antagonist of this.
Zeus,
story. And they could get a really cool backstory to the Amazonians and how they came to be in Themyscira. So
I think it'd be very interesting to see.
Especially, I wish they would stay away from some of the graphic nature of Game of Thrones. So what exactly do they mean by it's going to be like Game of Thrones?
Well, again, that's what I wonder about a lot of these is how is the younger audience going to
Is there anything we can show our kids?
Yeah, is there anything we can show our kids
yeah.
as parents out there? Hopefully, Superman Legacy. I'd love to show them a great Superman movie.
I want a hopeful Superman that
yeah.
we can all get behind. I am excited. I hope that James Gunn does the character justice and lives up to what Superman needs to be in live action again.
Well, and if we don't get with Superman, we still have hope with the new Batman movie, introducing a brand new Batman. As we said, the Batman with Robert Pattinson will be considered an Elseworld storyline. Its sequel, Batman 2, will be premiering on October 3rd in 2025. But this Batman, brand new to the DCU, will introduce both a new Dark Knight and Robin, finally, in the form of Damian Wayne, his actual biological son. Now, this should be very interesting in a movie that's being called The Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, and Damian Wayne is Talia al Ghul's son as well, so old Bruce Wayne and Talia did get together and had themselves a son.
Which you think so that's going to mean the introduction, of course, of Ra's al Ghul, Lazarus Pits, all that sort of stuff. Lots of potential there, maybe even Venom and Bane, we'll see.
So again, it seems like, they are just hitting the ground running, not doing any origin stories. This is a lived-in universe, it seems like, for what they're doing and what they're starting with here in the Gods and Monsters.
With as dark as it gets, I do wonder if this Batman movie, maybe at the end, will introduce us to a Barbara Gordon and take us along the storyline of her and Joker and all that sort of thing. So
could be.
Who knows?
I'm still miffed about the Batgirl movie getting canceled and not being able to see it at all.
We had it in the works. We had it nearly completed from what I had read. Yeah. So that's always going to be quite the loss. A lot of axing there that I just could have done without. Maybe they could have just said, okay, we'll take like a year off and then restart the DCU after that. Let the movies that we've already got slated play out.
Right.
And that's the wrap on, the first introduction of the DCU characters. And now we're going to do something else. I don't know.
But, I would have preferred that too. So,
yeah. Now, Booster Gold wraps up the slate. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, there's 2 more movies after this, but Booster Gold will be getting his own movie. I've heard a rumor that Zach Braff is interested in playing him, which I have to say wouldn't be all that bad a casting. He kind of
weird casting for Booster Gold, though. I
mean, he has that sort of loser type of nothing against Zach Braff, but
Nathan Fillion, I think he has played the voice of Booster Gold in something. That would be my first choice for Booster Gold.
Yeah, don't you think Nathan, he's getting a little old? Like they talked about him for Wonder Man in Marvel as well, but I think, nothing against Nathan Fillion. I'd watch him in anything, but, I think some of these characters are meant to be in their 30s.
We're getting a younger Superman. Why not an older Booster Gold?
That's true.
That we can all love. So,
and Michael Caine is Spider-Man. Finally, let's get it done.
Finally, get that done. Michael Caine.
Slice
of a tangerine.
Yeah, absolutely. So after that, we're getting another dark iteration of a superhero character here with Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. It's almost a hopeful title, but they're going to give us a very jaded Supergirl that's been living on what James Gunn referred to as a chunk of Krypton. And watching everybody around her die, and she finally gets to Earth to meet her long-lost cousin there, and she's got a very warped outlook on life. Now, how that translates out to a great superhero movie, we will see. We've definitely seen jaded superheroes in the past, so it could very much work for her. Makes me wonder, though.
Take on the character, though, and that story arc, and it gives you something different than what we've seen with Superman's story as well. And I kind of feel like Superman's going to be your redemption by the end of this. You know, she's going to be jaded, but she's going to regain her hope and faith in humanity by the end. I love this idea, and I'm really looking forward to this one as well.
I also think they're trying to stay away from comparisons to the Supergirl show, you know, which very much was the optimistic, hopeful Supergirl, you know, portrayal. And I think something that audience responded to, ultimately, you know, that show reached its end. But after Supergirl, to wrap up, not chapter 1, because they said there will be more to chapter 1 than what they've announced so far, but we're getting a Swamp Thing movie. Now, Swamp Thing TV series was canceled way too soon, so it's very nice to see that the character is being reintroduced into the new DCU, and I can't wait to see what they do with this movie. And also, I really hope, since this is so far out on the slate, that they differentiate Swamp Thing significantly from Ted in the Marvel in the MCU continuity. So,
from Werewolf by Night, which we did review here on Fatherly Fandom.
Yes, we did.
Good. They are very similar. Man Thing.
and Swamp Thing. So we'll see what they do with it. It's a ways out, but those are all the announcements from DCU today. Lots to dig into. So let us know in the comments what you think about all this, what your predictions are. Anything else to talk about with DC here, Chris?
I think we pretty much covered it. Yeah, let us know your thoughts on what's happening next. I really just a final thought on all of this. You know, listening to James Gunn on Twitter today, you can tell he's got a lot of passion, and I love the fact that he says that the stories are going to dictate what happens. Like, first and foremost, they're really concentrating on good stories, which is like, good job. You know, instead of competing with Marvel or doing all this other stuff to try to build up this franchise, focusing on the stories is exactly what DC needs to do right now. Produce the best content you can and get the ball rolling for them. And that's what's going to be good for us as fans to see, and for what they produce out there. And it's going to be successful for them if they stick to that.
I think so. And I read another article where James Gunn was quoted as saying that he is not interested in starting to film movies or TV shows if the scripts are not done according to the writers. So we're not going to see some of the rushed projects that we have in, I would say, Marvel. Hopefully, anyway. That's the intent of Mr. Gunn. So we'll see how it pans out.
Awesome. So let's head on over to some other news here, if that's all we got for that.
Sounds great.
One of the big things that just came out was so the newest game by EA for Star Wars. So let's talk about the Star stuff. Jedi Survivor is actually getting pushed back. It was supposed to come out in March, so pretty close to the release date, March 17th. So it's being pushed back to April 28th on there. And yeah, so a lot of us are bummed about that. But at the same time, what else comes out in March? What's coming out in March?
It's something that I remember watching maybe a couple years ago. It's been too long. I really don't remember. Some little green Muppet guy and the Tin Man. The Tin Man. Yeah, it's there
similar. The Beskar Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they do talk about this, how that they're actually trying to fix bugs and everything in the software and everything, and just trying to produce the best content they can. But at the same time, I kind of think that that's just what they're saying. And the real reason is because, yes, Mandalorian comes out on March 1st, so they don't want to inundate us with all this Star Wars at the same time. They're spacing it out, because 2023, guys, is the year of Star Wars. We got Bad Batch hitting right now. Then after, like, there's a little bit of overlap. Then we'll get Mandalorian. Then Jedi Survivor's coming out April now. So they're really parceling this out. So there's always something going with Star Wars this year. So I really think that that's the real reason. But they said that it was because of the bugs and everything like that. So the other thing I wanted to bring up to you guys out there, please leave a comment. I'm thinking about, actually, since this is coming out in April and Mandalorian will be wrapped by that time, if you guys want me to play the new Jedi Survivor on the channel, and I can stream that for you guys and start to play that, and I will be very terrible, so you guys can make fun of me with how terrible I do at the game. But if you guys want us to do that, just leave a comment, let me know. I'm thinking of doing that for you guys, so pretty interesting stuff there. So.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And then there's the final, the big news was the DC stuff. I don't want to take up too much extra time in here, but there's one last thing that I kind of want to cover. And let me pull it up here if I can. But it was a really cool, interesting thing that we had come out, a little article about how in the original Revenge of the Sith, I don't know if you heard about this, Matt, but originally they were actually going to have Darth Maul be undercover as General Grievous. Did you hear about that one?
No, I'm learning this just like all of you out there right now. Wow.
So Slash Film had an exclusive article on that. Let me just share the article here. Boom. On there, and we could do that. Okay. So according to Henry Gilroy, no relation, by the way, to Tony Gilroy, who is also doing Star Wars. Henry Gilroy was one of the main writers on Clone Wars and Rebels, and he produces this stuff as well. He says that George Lucas and his concept artist wanted General Grievous to be a cover for Darth Maul. And so Henry said, quote unquote, George was considering that Grievous was Maul behind the armor plate. It made sense. He's cut in half, and he's in this robot body or whatever. I'm glad that Grievous is his own thing anyway, but I thought it was interesting that the concept guys almost talked George into it. So I actually did very much like this idea, and it would have played in very well with Clone Wars, and they could have built that up. And it would have been a good, mirroring of the prequel trilogy, too. You started with Maul, you can end with Maul, and you can kind of build up that character. And it's another reason why, General Grievous was adamant about fighting Obi-Wan. That would have made a lot more sense.
It would have made a ton more sense and really given more weight to his character. I thought at least in the movies, Grievous was kind of wasted. Now in the TV show, he's got a much more prominent role sometimes throughout the different seasons. But yeah, they definitely could have combined those characters. That would have been a great addition to the
definitely. And like you said, it felt like, and for me, it was a situation that's like, man, you got this guy that knows how to fight the Jedi with lightsabers and everything. That would have made sense for why he could do that.
Right.
And, So I thought that was really cool information. Slash Film, you can look at the article right there. And that's really all the news we have fit to print today for on News from the Fandoms.
I did hear one more thing out there, and this kind of trumps all of it. We heard lots from the DCU. We heard an interesting tidbit about delays with Star Wars. We know we've got great things coming out with the Mandalorian and Bad Batch wrapping up here. But I think the main headline for world news out there is that I guess they're not going to make those 12-inch rulers any longer.
Really?
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, apparently it's true. Yeah. Anyway, dad joke to all of you guys out there. We'll wrap all this up here.
So, thanks for joining us, guys. I'm reviewing and doing a breakdown on Bad Batch. The next episode comes out tonight at midnight. You can look forward to that tomorrow. We'll be covering Mandalorian season 2 finale, as well as the episode 6 and 7 of Book of Boba Fett to get you guys ready in February on those reviews, as well as Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania. We're going to be covering that on Friday when it comes out. Real excited about that. So from our families to yours, have a good one.
Have a good one.
And may the Force be with you.